Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zach. Here we talk about overlanding, gear, builds, DIY, all sorts of stuff related to modifying your vehicle, getting out there, adventuring in the outdoors. Today we're going to be talking about a new Harbor Freight product that got a lot of people pretty excited. I think they unveiled it at SEMA, and I was pretty stoked to see all the announcements, and I know a lot of you were as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to unbox the product, and then we're going to kind of assemble it, show you how you put together the couple pieces that come in the box. And then I'm going to do a couple comparisons to compare it to some other things you may have around the house or you're thinking about purchasing. I'm not doing any sort of crazy tests, but I did watch Dirt Lifestyle's video where he did a bunch of crazy stuff to the jack that I really can't even do because I don't have those sorts of tools, trailers, rigs, that sorts of stuff. So I would recommend you go check out his video if you're trying to see, crazy comparisons of it, especially to another Pro Eagle. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the jack itself, and then we're going to talk about comparisons to figure out whether you think that maybe this could just replace a floor jack, or maybe you're like me and you maybe don't have a ton of tools for your rig yet. Maybe this could be a jack that you could buy to use in your garage, out on the trail, and everywhere in between. So we're going to do some comparisons to it to some other jacks, bottle jacks, jack stands, and we'll go from there. So let's jump into the unboxing. It's what we care about right here. The Badlands off-road jack, 3-ton jack. I've actually got the Badlands, or I think it's their Daytona line, and a 3 tons. We're gonna compare how high and low this goes on your typical floor jack from Harbor Freight, and we'll compare it to a bottle jack that I have from Harbor Freight, and yeah, just kind of all around check it out, talk about build quality, and do some initial comparisons of this jack. So pretty stoked. Let's start unboxing this thing. All right. Also, thank you to Harbor Freight for sending this jack to me. Appreciate it. They're a big supporter of the channel, so thank you, Harbor Freight. Always got to remember to tell you guys that they did send it to me. So, all right. This is a pretty heavy package, I will say, so even if I'm making it look light, it is pretty heavy. All right, we've got 4 wheels here, and then not really sure what all these are for, but we'll figure it out. This looks like this goes in here. Presume this is an extendable height portion of the jack. Take out this styrofoam. There is the behemoth of a jack. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to mount this, but hopefully there's some sort of bracket out there that I can use to mount it up. All right, I think that's everything out of the box. Thankfully, the bulk of this is already assembled, so it's not going to take too long to assemble. This goes on the front here. So this comes with a little bit of hardware here. Nothing too crazy. Let's slide this over here like this so you all can see. So I've emptied out the bag of hardware. We've got this big pin here, which is for this. So this big saddle, I guess is what they're calling it. Alright, so there's a diagonal here where it lines up with some nuts. You tighten down these bolts. Other than that, we've got 4 washers and nuts for each wheel. Both wheels are the same, so we just put on a washer and then a lock nut. I'm not going to use that. I'll go grab a socket wrench for it. All right, let's figure out what size this is. All right, it's a 3/4. There we go. Doesn't give a torque spec, so we'll give it the good old-fashioned crank. See if. All right, that seems to be okay because it's spinning. Don't have any problems there. Not sure whether I really need to like over tighten those. I'm gonna set this to the highest point so that we can measure some height here. All right, what are these two little locking screws for? This little piece will hold this whole contraption right here for you. It's kind of cool. I'll show you that in a second. So this is where this clamp goes. They don't show a super great picture for it, but you can find it on page 9 of their manual. This is a 3 size Allen wrench, or Allen key, or hole, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just putting these in here. Like I've said in other videos, I much prefer to use these socket Allen keys. I'm not going to tighten down the Allen hole or bolt on this portion of the jack, but it is a size 10 metric if you're curious. Okay, so got this basically assembled. Only thing left to do is to remove this block here that's holding it in place, and I just don't know how to pull that out without like pinching my fingers really bad. Trying to see if they have something to walk you through how to do that, but my fear is they don't. So we're gonna grab a channel lock and do our best to not break a finger. That is all the assembly that we needed to do. There's actually some pretty interesting points about maintenance in here. I'm going to look at these later, but would encourage you to take a read through the manual because these jacks need to be serviced like other hydraulic equipment. So got that all good to go. Let's put the handle extension on this thing and do a little side-by-side comparison with a floor jack. All right, here are the two jacks side by side. Basically, I'm going to do some measurements here to compare the two, and we'll go from there. So I guess if we take off this insert, well, we'll leave it on, but you'll get the point. So if I lower this all the way, basically the lowest this jack can go is roughly 6 inches, maybe 6.5 inches off the ground, and this one can go about 3.25 inches off the ground. So obviously if you're trying to work on like a sports car or something, you wouldn't want to use one of these off-road jacks, but that's really not what they're designed for. So no shocker there. So this is a 3-ton jack. This is also a 3-ton jack. They're almost the exact same length. So from wheel to wheel, this is just under 32 inches, maybe 31 3/4 in length. This one is 31.5 inches long if you don't include this like little footstep on the back. The handles are the exact same length. They almost stand exactly the same height. So now all we got to do here is let's pump these up and see how high one goes versus the other. All right, I think we've reached the max height on this jack. Let's come back to this one here and let's compare this one. This one has that foot pump like I was saying, which is pretty slick. This is also their long reach jack. So this is one of the longer arm options that Harbor Freight offers. So if we do a height measurement here, this one measures just over 24 inches, maybe 24.5 inches. This one measures with the extension to the max, roughly 29.25
inches. So 29 1/4 versus 24 1/2, 24 1/4. This is roughly 5 inches taller, comparing it to this floor jack. So obviously you're probably not going to even carry one of these floor jacks along, but if you did have a floor jack along, they're pretty helpful off-road too. They're just kind of ridiculous, and they don't stand as well, and they don't roll, that sort of thing. So let's put this one away. That's kind of the first comparison. The next comparison is comparing it to this big bottle jack that I have. It's the one that I carry in my rig most of the time in case I needed to do a tire repair of some kind. It's not ideal, honestly, because you need some wood blocks in addition. It's still really not quite tall enough for my rig, but this is what they call their 20-ton floor jack. What we're gonna do here is I'm gonna tighten this up and pump it up all the way, and we'll compare the height that this goes to the height of this off-road jack. So 20-ton jack we are working with, in addition to its screwed up extension, 18 inches, which is not bad for a jack, but 18 inches compared to 29 1/4, we're looking at over 11 inches taller with this off-road jack. So this is kind of a basic comparison, you know, up front. Obviously it's pretty obvious to compare these, but most people don't have every single thing to compare them to, so I was just hoping this would be sort of helpful. In a perfect world, I would take this out with my rig, and you know, both my front tires would go flat or blow out, and then I could put this under my front differential and drive down a gravel road with it or something, you know, do some stress testing on it. But I'm sure there's some guys out there with some gnarly rock crawlers that will do that test for me. I just wanted to get this out there, give you some dimensions. I'm gonna work on probably figuring out a fancy way, or at least a good way, to mount this up to the rig, so be on the watch for another video on it. This won't be the last time you'll see it on the channel, but I just wanted to get a quick video out there kind of showing you the product, kind of how it looks next to a normal floor jack. And yeah, got these. This is my jack stand. I figured I'd quick offer a jack stand height as well. So, and then if we look at the height of the jack stand here, it's roughly 23 to 24 inches tall. For Harbor Freight's 6-ton jack stand, they're 6-ton heavy duty Daytona jack. So hopefully this was helpful. Here's kind of a comparison of all the jacks and their footprints. All right, well, it's kind of a wrap for this video. Not trying to overcomplicate anything here, but just wanted to show you some details about the jack. So, all right, well, that's going to be a wrap for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel or you have never seen my channel before, consider subscribing. I make a lot of videos like this, reviewing gear, doing modification, installs, DIY, all sorts of stuff related to modifying your vehicle. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next video.